Welcome to my review and discussion about AEW, All Elite Wrestling Double or Nothing. It's now the second year anniversary, beginning year 3 of AEW tonight. And it was live in Jacksonville with fans. Here's my review of the show. First of all, I want to say that, man, I said it last year and it's become more and more prevalent. I was at WrestleMania and I can tell you that, buddy, pro wrestling needs fans. And no other show exemplifies that more than this one. The crowd literally elevated this show to new levels. It was a hot crowd. They were into every match. They were into most of the wrestlers for all 4 hours of this pay-per-view. And I said it last year and I'm saying it again. Pro wrestling needs fans, dude. It just does not work without fans. And the more fans you have that are into your product, the more it's going to come off like a main event product. And this show was huge. This show was so much better than the last pay-per-view. That AEW Revolution show they had in March or whatever was not a very good show. It just wasn't. This show was significantly better. Most of the matches were either pretty good to very good. And they jam-packed the show. It was 4 hours, a lot of matches on it. And most of them delivered. Most of them did deliver. So we opened up with Hangman Page and Brian Cage, about a 12-minute match. I liked this match a lot. The crowd was red hot for it. They had some really good exchanges near the end. Taz did commentary. They basically did this thing where they kind of teased that the feud is not over yet, or that, not the feud, I'm sorry. They teased that Brian Cage and Starks would have some kind of issue. But Hangman Page, I still think that Hangman Page will eventually be the guy to beat Kenny Omega for that title. I don't know if that's still the plan, but that definitely was the plan as of last year, late last year. And they still have time to build him up. This dude's a star. I mean, he's got charisma. I didn't think he had it at first, but he's gotten better and better. So I think Hangman Page is a future AEW World Champion. Then we had a match that I thought was interesting because I think it went on much earlier than it should have. AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks, defend against the team of Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. First of all, this is a weird mismatch of styles because the Young Bucks are basically like high-flying, corny spot monkeys. And I say that not to diss them, but that's kind of their gimmick, right? Not saying that I actually feel this way, but their gimmick is that they know it. They make fun of themselves over it. It's fine. And Eddie Kingston and Moxley were, in a feud last year and with great promos. And I was wondering whether or not they would actually capture the titles because we know that Moxley and Kingston together cut great promos. Is it time to take the belt off of the Young Bucks? Well, first of all, this match was awesome. This match, really, really good match. The near falls near the end, dude. First of all, Moxley bled, and I thought that was a bit unnecessary. It wasn't really necessary for him to bleed. We saw like the shoe get involved. We saw like the Melter driver. They actually did a thing where they were going to go for the Melter driver multiple times, but they didn't. And when Moxley, let me tell you something before I even get to that. When Moxley and Kingston came out, dude, that crowd exploded. Like I said, wrestling needs fans, dude. It really enhances the match. So one thing I will say though as a criticism is that this whole match was red hot, but dude, this finish was a product of bad timing. I felt like the finish was very anticlimactic. I felt like it could have been a better finish. It could have been a finish that was, cause here's what happened. So the match is going red hot and they have these great near falls. Now I'm like, okay, like this match could have headlined this show. It was so good. It was a really good match. Lots of fun. And I was surprised as to how fast Eddie Kingston worked. Like for a guy who's kind of chubby, he's got some great cardio, and he's an older guy compared to how he was in the Indies like 15 years ago. But yeah, he still came to work. And I respect that about him. I really do. But the finish with the BTE trigger, I get why they did it this way, but it did feel a little bit anticlimactic. I think it could have been a little bit more explosive, the finish. And it just kind of like, that was it. I get why they did it though. They're trying to show how tough Moxley was with like 5 BTE triggers. But still, like, I think it could have been a better finish. It just didn't work compared to how the match had been laid out earlier. That finish would have worked better if it was a slower, longer New Japan type of match. But it wasn't terrible. It didn't ruin the match. It was just small criticism. Then we had the Casino Battle Royale, and Leo Rush debuted. He got thrown out almost immediately. I really like Komoroto, excuse me, the Bruiser Brody. I had not seen him before. I haven't been watching AEW every week, but I like him a lot. I like Bruiser Brody. I like the Varsity Blondes. But it was down to Jungle Boy and Christian. And earlier in the match, I said it'll be either Jungle Boy or Christian who wins. And Jungle Boy won. So Jungle Boy will be facing off against Kenny Omega on television very soon. Well, they didn't say Kenny Omega. They said the winner of the main event, which, you know, the AEW World Title match, Kenny Omega won. I think Jungle Boy, first of all, him coming out the Tarzan Boy is awesome, but I think Jungle Boy could legitimately have a future, and I mean a big future in AEW. He's future world champion right there. And I'm not saying like next year, but maybe in a couple years, if they keep building him up and they keep giving him more seasoning in the ring and more experience. Now that the live shows are coming back, he'll get a chance to do that. I really do think that this dude will make it. I think he'll make it, and I think he will absolutely can be a world champion. I think he can be a world champion for certain. So it was cool seeing Luchasaurus also come out and celebrate. I love Luchasaurus, but I don't know about Marco Stunt. He's a little too short for my taste, but I like Luchasaurus. So American Nightmare Cody Rhodes and Anthony Ogogo. I'm just not big on Cody anymore, dude. Like, he's involved, in my opinion, in some of the most uninteresting segments and promos of his career right now. And I like Cody for a long time. I mean, ever since he did the Dashing Cody Rhodes gimmick, I've been into this guy, dude. I was a huge fan of his about 10 years ago. And I liked him in early AEW, but, like, I don't know, he's coming off really obnoxious to me, and maybe he's doing it on purpose. But I was wanting Ogogo to win this match. And it was his wrestling debut, by the way, or his pay-per-view debut, that is. But Cody won, and with a vertebraker, which was nasty. And I guess the feud is over. I don't know. It was an okay match. It wasn't the best match. It was about 11 minutes. It could have been shorter. I thought it was more like, I thought it would be a lot more of like a gimmicky match with, you know, not really a lot of work. But I got to give Ogogo credit. This guy was in there. Like, he held his own. I mean, I don't know if it was quite to the level of, like, you know, other debuts or whatever, but he did great. He did great. I can't say anything bad about it. TNT title, Miro and Lance Archer. So I am a fan of Lance Archer big time, more than Rusev, even though I like Rusev. This was supposed to be like a big man match, like a big tough man match. And I like how the match started. Like, it started off with like a G1 type of start where he just came out and just started to attack. Lots of big, you know, clotheslines and power spots, choke slams. This match, I was at first not looking forward to it. And within the first few minutes, they got me into it. So I got to give them credit. Like, and that should tell you if it's a good match, if you're not really looking forward to it, and then you get into it. And I was hoping for an Archer victory, but I liked it because, you know, Rusev won with the game over, and basically the referee stopped it. And that was a definitive, solid win for Rusev. It was a clean win, and it was a good win for him, even though I still think that Archer has a future. I mean, I love Archer. I've always been, not always, because he was Dallas in TNA. Then he was in WWE. Didn't really do well there. It wasn't until he went to New Japan that his career really took off. And we saw like him really learn his charisma and find himself. You know what I mean? But the match, I think, went very, very well. Not at the best match of the night by any means, but it didn't get too much time. It was fine. Now, I think this next match did get a little bit too much time. Dr. Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida, or as we call her, Hickory Chicken, for the AEW Women's title. Britt Baker, I knew she was going to win this match. I didn't think this was that good. Britt Baker has a lot of charisma as a heel, but she's just not in ring, she's just not that good. I mean, I'm sorry. She's just, AEW's women's division has been their weak link, and I've been saying that forever, and it is their weak link as far as their roster goes. They have a great roster, but their women's roster is not as solid as it could be. Meanwhile, WWE's women's roster is amazing right now. But I mean, that's fine because AEW is still kind of a young company and there's still time to develop more women as time goes on. But I knew Britt Baker was going to win because, like I said, she had momentum. She had momentum since she first went heel. They were building up momentum for her to get more and more. One thing about Tony Khan is I've been critical of his booking, but he's done a pretty good job with Britt Baker, but a lot of it's been her promos. She's had some really good promos lately. She's a great heel. And to me, I knew she was going to win. She did win. And that's pretty much what happened. So, not the best match. Kind of a disappointment. Tony Schiavone likes her and shit. They have that weird sort of thing, but not the best match. And I kind of didn't think it would be. Now, Darby Allin and Sting against Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page. So, I was critical of them putting this match on so late in the show because I thought that the Young Bucks match would have been better here because of how high energy it was. But I kind of understand why. So, this match was pretty much done to show the world that Sting is still in great shape. Sting worked his ass off here, dude. For a guy who's I think he's in his 60s now, right? Dude, and you're talking to a huge Stinger fan. Stinger was great. And the last time we saw him on pay-per-view, he had that cinematic match. And that's all pre-taped. And you can kind of edit around it if there's, mistakes. No, here Sting worked really well, dude. Really, really well. Obviously, it wasn't one of those things where Darby Allin worked most of the match and then Sting came in for 10 minutes, or I'm sorry, 10 minutes, 10 seconds. No, it was 15 minutes. They both did really well. Sting busted out the Stinger Splash, which popped me. He also busted out a Code Red. Crowd chanted, "You still got it." Sting was out here to prove that he still had it. And he did prove that, in my opinion. Sting now the finish was awesome. So, Scorpio Sky went for the slingshot, Ace Crusher or whatever, his version of the RKO, the Diamond Cutter, whatever, but Sting grabbed him and turned into a Scorpion Death Drop for the pin. This was a lot of fun, and it was a great moment for Sting. I really hope that Sting, now working in front of a full house, got that great moment that Stinger deserves, dude. As a Sting fan, I was happy. If you're not a Sting fan, you probably won't appreciate this match as much as I did. But as being a Sting fan since I was a little kid, this is cool. This was very, very cool. AEW World Title, Kenny Omega defending against Orange Cassidy and Pac. Okay. I have really mixed opinions about this one. No, this was not better than the three-way at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Edge. It was just not. I'm sorry. I don't care what Meltzer says. It was not as good. But you had three guys in here who were working really hard to entertain the people, and I think they accomplished that for the majority of the match. But it was also very awkward because you had Orange Cassidy, who's very talented, but he's also a comedy wrestler. You had Pac, who's all business. You had Kenny Omega, who can pretty much do a little bit of both. So Omega was kind of, Omega's whole thing is that he's trying to prove that he can work any style. So I think with this match, he was trying to prove that he could work multiple styles within one match. Within the body of one match, which is very, very difficult to do. Because you have to suck the fans in to get them into the match while also telling a believable match that is also unbelievable. Does that make sense? Maybe it doesn't. Hopefully, if you've been watching wrestling a long time, you get what I'm talking about. So, there were things in this match that I thought were crazy. As far as things that, it was one thing after another, bro. There was a one-winged angel that got reversed into a sunset bomb and an avalanche falcon. They were just busting out all these. It became somewhat of a spot fest, and some would say it was a bit overbooked by the end. I really loved, my favorite moment of the match was near the end when Kenny came off the ropes and then Orange came in with the orange punch just out of nowhere. Boom! That was awesome. Aubrey came out, the referee, to get the pin, but Omega reversed it into a crucifix pin for the pin and retained the title. So, I just felt like it was, I thought it was, I have mixed opinions. Like, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Would it be considered a classic main event pro wrestling match? Difficult to say. It really felt more like a house show match. Like, it really felt more like one of those wacky indie house show main events. And, um, you know, it really, like, I liked it, but it wasn't like the classic Kenny Omega main event that he's had in the past. That, I know he can pull off better matches. I mean, he said it, and we've seen him do it. But at the same time, they weren't closing the show. So I don't blame them for that because they really weren't closing the show. So that's fine if you're going to have like a wacky match. I'm not sure about Orange Cassidy being a main eventer. I think that he would have to change his character a little bit. It was funny how they had all the belts in there though. That was kind of funny, like all the different belts that Omega has. But the real main event was Stadium Showdown, which was a lot of fun. Dude, they had the Jacksonville Jaguars head coach in there and the assistant head coach. I'm not even kidding. They fought all over the building. Some of the matches pre-taped. Some of it was, in the ring. Now, one thing I will say, now the rules of the match, first of all, the participants, the Inner Circle, which was Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz, and Sammy Guevara. Geekdom 101 special guest, Sammy Guevara, who's been on my channel multiple times, defeating the Pinnacle, which was MJF, Wardlow, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, and Sean Spears. So, they fought in like the club bar where Conan was the DJ, which was a cool Easter egg. Jericho and MJF fought like in the Jacksonville Jaguars area. They had an awesome spot where they had like a cutout of like Tony Khan's dad, the real owner of AEW, the real billionaire. And Jericho like protected it. That was really fun. But I will say this. I enjoyed the match. It was not as good as last year's Stadium Showdown. Not at all. Like, last year's Stadium Showdown was magic, if you ask me. Really, really enjoyed it. Let's not forget that this match started with the Inner Circle, like, coming down from, like, the board with, like, Judas playing. Like, they came down on these, like, grappling hooks like Batman, bro. It was crazy, dude. Now, the finish was all done from in the ring. They did this thing where they had Jericho tease he was going to, like, throw MJF over the balcony, like a New Jack type of thing. Maybe it was tribute to New Jack. I mean, who knows? But what happened was, in the ring, I mean, they had this wacky spot where Sammy Guevara got the golf cart, which is basically the flip from what they did last year, which I loved. And so Sammy Guevara and Sean Spears came in the ring, and they had this awesome spot where basically Sean Spears hit him with a chair and was like, "You should stay down." And then Guevara gives him a middle finger, and then he hits him, and I thought that was the end. But then what happens is, no, I didn't think it was the end, but I thought the end was coming, is what I meant to say. Guevara then reversed it into the GTH and then curb stomped Spears into the chair, then went to the top and hit a 630 senton and got the 1-2-3. So Sammy Guevara closes the show as the winner, closes the show as the triumphant babyface, and as of right now, the Inner Circle is still together, and it was a great, triumphant, positive way to end the show. A very, very good AEW pay-per-view. Maybe, I don't know if it was as emotional as Double or Nothing, but it could have been maybe their most consistent pay-per-view. I don't know about it being the best one, but it was definitely their most consistent. No bad matches, except for maybe the women's match was below average, but every match on this show was pretty above average, I would say, and everybody worked hard. So really, it was a good show. I mean, it was, again, I don't know if it's the best AEW show. I have to think about that because I really loved Double or Nothing, the first one, and All Out, the first one, 2019. But this one was probably the one that had the most good matches top to bottom, if you ask me. So what did you think about this pay-per-view? Let me know, and I'll talk to y'all very soon.